Today is all about pruning trees here in the middle of winter in Arizona. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here on a very chilly January morning in 2023. If you guys have been following us along, you know that we have at this point over 180 fruiting trees, vines, and shrubs here on this newly established functioning farm, which this time of year comes up with a big task, and that is getting all of these fruit trees pruned. So one of the advantages to being here in the desert is the amazing variety of fruit that can be grown. We have several different types of stone fruit, much like the peach tree that I'm sitting in here. We have pome fruit, different apples and pears that we're growing. We have figs and mulberries and grapes. We've got, you name it, we probably have it here on the farm. So with all those different varieties, what we're challenged with is when do we start and how do we get it all done? For us here in Arizona, we really only have a couple of seasons, hot and cold. So having that time period in between, that fall time period that everybody's used to across the rest of the country is a very, very short time frame for us. So we typically start our pruning end of December, beginning of January, and we start with our Florida Prince peach trees. Now the reason we start with that tree is it's the first one to break dormancy. Typically, I'm looking at pruning these trees right after Christmas because I know that not long after, these will break dormancy. In fact, these trees have already done it. Here by the third week of January, we have flowers on these trees and a lot of buds that are ready to break. We also have some leaves that are starting to pop out. Now, I haven't seen that in any of the other trees here on the farm in this third week of January, but this is the reason why we start pruning these trees first. The next trees that we get to right away are all of our summer fruiting apple trees. That includes the Golden Dorset, the Anna, the Tropic Sweet, and also the Einsheimer. All of those trees, including the one that you see behind me here, they're all really young still. These trees have been in the ground for about 2 years, so we're still establishing the structure on the trees, but we know that those are typically the second ones to break dormancy. Now these trees are still completely dormant here in the third week of January. We're nice and cold this week, but I know that at any moment, these are gonna pop. The next trees we do pretty much at the same time as our summer apples would be a couple of our mulberry trees. This is one of our 4 Shangri-La mulberries. We love this variety. In fact, this one is starting to have some bud swell here on the tree in the third week of January. We get fruit off this typically in April and May. So we know that it is one of the first trees to break dormancy. This one, as well as our ever-bearing mulberry trees, those are also the first trees that get pruned. Typically, those are starting to break dormancy about now as well. Next up on our trees for pruning are all of the rest of our stone fruit. At this point, we already have all of our stone fruit completed. We have apricot trees and plum trees. We also have a few almond trees. All of those at this point are done. You can see that our figs aren't quite there yet. These are one of the last trees to break dormancy, along with a couple of other fruiting vines here on the farm. In fact, let's go look at those here real quick. So one of the last things to break dormancy and the last thing that we do here for pruning is all of our grapevines. We have both wine grapes and also table grapes here on the farm, and all of those are the last ones to lose their leaves. You can see we still have a few leaves left on the Thompson grapes here, and they are also pretty much the last thing that breaks dormancy. So we still have a couple weeks before we need to get to these, which gives us a little bit of time to get the rest of the trees done. So one of the first things that I do right after Christmas is put together my pruning bag. I know that sounds weird, but for all of us here, it's the reality of things. So what I have inside my bag are all of my different pruning tools. I have my personal protective gear with my gloves and my glasses. We also keep all of our pruning tools in here. So we have our small pruners, we have our loppers, we also have a sawzall that we have a pruning blade for, and then a small handsaw. In addition to that, we also have our isopropyl alcohol that we use to clean all the tools. We do that between different types of trees just to make sure that we're not transferring any diseases that might be happening from one to the next. Now, this kit gets put together again right after Christmas. It stays inside our front room as a reminder, and essentially what we do each evening is we come out and we'll prune 2 or 3 trees, maybe 4 if we have a little bit of extra time. Lori and I get a little personal time together, and we get time to look at each tree and make sure we're making that perfect cut. So now we have a lot of detailed pruning videos out there for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and link our actual pruning playlist. So if you wanna know how we prune a lot of the different varieties here on the farm, check out that playlist. It gives you a detailed step-by-step walkthrough of how we do our pruning. So just wanna thank you guys for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. We cover a lot of things here on this newly established functioning farm. Obviously, fruit trees is a big part of what we do here. That's what we were talking about today, but would love to see on a regular basis. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section down below. And our Amazon shop, we have a lot of the tools that you saw here today in that shop. But if you start with the link that we have down below, it doesn't matter what you buy, you actually help to support the farm here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. So one of the wonderful things about being here in Arizona is the amazing variety of fruit that we can grow here in the desert. We have stone fruit, like you see here with this peach.
She wants that egg out.
She wants, I don't blame you, girl. I want that egg out too. It doesn't do us any good unless it pops out. So one of the advantages, she doesn't want us to talk. We have several different types of stone fruit, like